Hail, brothers and sisters of the old gods, and welcome to my first vlog. I guess I'll just start off by introducing myself, as would be the obvious custom. My name is Kai, and I am what you would call a semi-eclectic Norse pagan, which means while I am Norse pagan for the large part, I do welcome other deities into my personal practice if I have some specific reason to. I don't really believe in... you can if you want to, but I don't personally believe in overly eclectic paganism because I feel like it's just a bunch of people who want to be cool running around collecting gods like they're Pokemon cards. And I don't think that's right. I think there's just something inherently inauthentic about that. And you can do that if you want, it's your practice, but I'm just saying I don't really believe in that, so yeah. So just putting that out there to start. As far as my magical practice goes, I would say my specialties are with the runes and earthen-based magic and the ice element. And while I realize that ice is really just a facet of water, it does in many ways behave as though it is its own element. And in a way, it's almost as though it's sort of a bridge between water and earth in a way. And I don't really pay much attention to astrology, largely because I'm not Greek, so why would I? But I guess as a Taurus, that puts me under the earth sign, so I'm much better with magic regarding nature. Animals, rocks, trees, to an extent the weather, things like that I do better with. I don't do as much spirit work as I'd like to, and while I can sense them and communicate with them to an extent, it's really not what I'd call a specialty of mine. I don't do a lot of love spells and healing spells and things like that. That's not really my strong point. I'm more of a druid by nature, and I realize druids are really more of a Britannic thing than a Norse thing, but when I say that, you understand what I mean, though. More into the trees and the natural world than anything else. As for why I go under the moniker Skadi son of Skadi, because Skadi of the Norse pantheon is my main matron deity, if you will. She's my main deity, in other words. And the irony of that situation is I don't personally really believe in picking a patron or matron deity. And while I understand that some people do, and it's okay that you have that, the problem I have is a lot of newer pagans think they have to go out and find their patron deity. Like, a patron deity is something that everyone is assigned and you have to go find it or something, and that's just not the case. Some people run into a patron deity, or a deity they feel would be their patron, and it's a sensible working relationship that you can see why they would do that. But I see so many like baby witches and new pagans coming on and saying, okay, who's my patron deity? And I'm like, what do you mean, who is your patron deity? You don't have to have one. That's not a requirement. That's not something that everyone has. This is not like, again, it's not Pokemon. You don't have a starter Pokemon. You observe and you worship and you find the gods yourself. Some people, like if you're a sailor, yeah, if you're in the Norse belief, your patron deity is going to be Njord. If you're a general or a poet, your patron deity is going to be Odin or Bragi, respectively. But if you're just an ordinary dude that just does ordinary dude things, there's no patron deity of McDonald's manager. Like, perhaps Thor is somewhat the god of the average hardworking fellow. He's sort of the blue-collar god, and that's okay, that makes sense. But overall, unless you are in one of those specific fields that has a deity pre-assigned to it, you may or may not have a patron deity, so don't waste your time trying to find one as though that's something everyone has to do. But, that being said, given my abilities with ice and my ability to withstand winter, and winter being always having been my season of power, and given my extremely independent nature and the fact that I'm very much different from most people, even within my own tribe, I'm very different from everyone else. I also have found out I am remarkably talented in archery, and I have a very strong draw to the wild and not a lot to civilized society, and these are all things that line up very concisely with Skadi and who she is as a deity. She's a Jotun. She's not one of the Aesir natively, or even one of the Vanir. She's a Jotun. She was originally an enemy of the gods. She is not like the others. She doesn't even live in Asgard. She lives in her own home by herself, does her own thing. She's even married, and she still lives by herself. So that should tell you just how much of an independent person she is, and I'm very much the same way. I am working on perfecting my craft and making a living on it, and more or less bailing from modern society because frankly it just does not interest me. And that's part of why I'm starting this vlog and other sorts of videos, because I sort of want to document my journey a bit. And while I will probably go into more detail about myself in future videos, I sort of just want to give a general layout of who I am, what I'm doing, what kind of pagan I am. I am very middle of the road in a lot of things, which means I get a lot of hate from both sides. Some people will say I'm not conservative enough, and others will say I'm not liberal enough. And while I try to steer clear of politics, it's something that's almost hard to avoid these days. Because frankly, there's people where if I disagree with anything you say, I'm automatically a racist Nazi because the person I was arguing with was black. And then there's people that are like, they assume that I must be a bleeding heart liberal just because I'm not as hateful as they are. And it's like, it's crazy. It doesn't have to be black and white, one or the other, with us or against us. I can agree and disagree with arguments on both sides. And it's really sad that we've lost that ability to think critically, because everyone just picks a team, and no matter what that team says, no matter how stupid it is, they believe it because they were told to. And I don't really subscribe to that ideal. I come up with my own answers. I think about things. I don't let things like shame or pride get in the way of what I think and how I express myself. And some people don't like that. A lot of people are threatened by it. They think that you're up to something just because you haven't picked a team. I'm... God, and even in playing Skyrim, I had difficulty picking between the two factions because I had problems with both of them. And they both had merits, but they both had problems, so I remain independent. And I am much that way in real life as well. I'm not going to align myself to a particular ideal, because then people will assume things about me before they find out things about me. And I want to invite as little of that as possible. And I understand that even telling people that I remain in the middle of the scale, people already have their assumptions. But I am going to hopefully get people to understand where I'm coming from, rather than assuming where they think I'm coming from. So, no, this is not the kind of channel where you can come on here and be right about everything simply because you're a person of color or a minority. But no, this is not the kind of channel where I'm going to tolerate any white supremacist, Skyrim for the Nords kind of ideals, okay? Neither road is acceptable to me. All people deserve to have a chance. All people deserve equality, and that's that. I don't care. Everyone deserves a chance. Equality for all, that's how I roll. If you don't like it, too bad. But anyways, that's another way I'm rather in the middle. I try not to be too abrasive, but I will say what needs to be said. And yeah, I feel like I'm getting a little deep here, but in general, I'm just going to keep uploading videos on my thoughts about certain things, my spiritual path, and hopefully my crafts, because I must say, I'm off to an okay start here. This is the first sword I've made, and it's pretty nice if I do say so myself. So hopefully I can keep making products like this for all you pagan brothers and sisters out there, and I might get an e-store or something up soon. So be on the lookout for that. I guess in my next video I'll probably show some of the products I have already made, just to give you a preview of what's to come. So thanks for watching and see you next time.